One of my favorite things about a new Pokemon project is being able to look at the dex entries for the new Pokemon and even the returning Pokemon. Through this, we learn more about the Pokemon, we get more depth to them, learn kind of how they function, we learn about their diet, sometimes we learn about natural enemies that, you know, some Pokemon are rivals like Tinkaton and Corviknight, all kinds of fun things. And, of course, the Teal mask came out, and it did not disappoint in this area. So today, in honor of it now being Spooky Month, we will be talking about the scariest dex entries from Kitakami. Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today, you know what we're talking about, scary dex entries from Kitakami. This is ranging from just really anything that just kind of creeped me out or made me feel a little uncomfortable, you know, like, sometimes it's because a Pokemon's just murderous, and sometimes it's a little bit more to that. It's a bit more complex, but it kind of just is a little unsettling. We've gotten this all over Pokemon history. I mean, this is a video that's kind of been done to death, but Kitakami has given us some more dex entries to add to the ever-growing list of creepy dex entries. And first, we will start with a pretty, by Pokemon standards, basic one, and that is for Duskull. For Duskull's Scarlet dex entry, oddly enough, these are all Scarlet dex entries that I've pulled today. It says, in the dead of night, these Pokemon wander in towns in search of children whose vital energy is their favorite source of food. So first off, yikes. I mean, you know, can we just take a moment to just shout out all the children of the Pokemon world? It seems that, you know, when you get out of being a child in the Pokemon world, you're, like, in the clear now, because all the time, these dex entries are, like, targeting kids, you know, Drifloon, Duskull. I mean, it's honestly, it sucks being a kid in the Pokemon world. But yeah, you know, you don't even really have to break this one down. Duskull's favorite food is the vital energy of children. That's just, yikes. Now, next up, we have Lombre. Now, Lombre, its whole basis is actually kind of creepy. It's based off of a Kappa, which is a Japanese yokai that, you know, may be depicted often as something cute like the Lotad line, but honestly, its stories are very, very horrifying. I mean, it's just filled with violence and sexual assault, frankly, and also drowning. So it's, you know, it's not a fun guy. And with Lombre, it says in its Scarlet dex entry that old folklore in Kitakami states that a mischievous child was one day reborn as this Pokemon, which is also kind of horrifying, a different kind of horrifying, you know, just because it's kind of scary to just think if, again, shout out to the children of the Pokemon world, you might just one day wake up as a Pokemon. We've actually seen this before with Kadabra's old dex entry saying it was a child that just woke up as a Kadabra one day, and it's always interesting that it wakes up as a Kadabra or a Lombre, but not an Abra or a Lotad, you know, but that is just kind of unsettling, and then it becomes more unsettling when you think about if this is true, then, you know, when we catch Lombre, we are catching the offspring of someone that once was a human. You know, it's just not fun to think about. It also is interesting that it does say this folklore is exclusive to Kitakami. It says folklore of Kitakami, you know, not Hoenn, not... So it makes me kind of wonder if maybe Lombre originated in Kitakami, but that's a theory for another time. We're just here to talk about how creepy it is that Lombre, at least one Lombre a while back, according to folklore, so they're admitting it's, you know, not confirmed, may have been a child. So this next one is actually probably my favorite on this list, and it is for Litwick. Litwick's dex entry in, again, Pokemon Scarlet states that its flame is usually out, but it starts shining when it is absorbing the life force of people and Pokemon. Now, you know, on paper, that's not too crazy. I mean, it is a ghost-type Pokemon. We just heard about Duskull, how it specifically likes to look for children, you know, but what's creepy about this is anytime you encounter a wild Litwick in the game, which you can at the Infernal Pass, it will have its flame on its head. So it is currently absorbing your life energy. When you send it out into battle, it is with its flame lit, so it is absorbing yours and the opposing Pokemon and the opposing trainer, their energy. So this little guy is basically always killing you, and that's kind of horrifying to think about, that you go, you catch this adorable little candle, you want to feed it a sandwich, and it's already feeding. It doesn't need the sandwich. It has your life force. Next up, we have Poltergeist, and Poltergeist is a Pokemon that, was revealed before the Teal Mask's release, and it kind of got the talk of the town there because it was already shown to be this really creepy Pokemon that was basically a Dementor, like from Harry Potter. And Poltergeist's masterpiece forms, Scarlet Dex entry, states, it sprinkles some of its body onto powdery food and then drains the life force from anyone who so much as licks it, which is, first off, kind of gross. I guess it makes sense, but I never really thought about the matcha powder that it sprinkles as a part of its body. That's kind of nasty. But even aside from that, it's just horrifying to think that, in the Pokemon world, honestly, no matter where you are, you need to be really careful when ordering, like, matcha tea, right? Like, if you go to a cafe, you need to be like, what's your matcha situation like? Are there poltergeists within a 100-mile radius of this spot? And you don't know, man. You might walk outside and be like, oh, thank God there's no poltergeist here. Take a sip of your tea. Little do you know, the guy who just walked by you, he's from Kitakami. He has a poltergeist on his team. It's absorbing your life force now. Very creepy little guy. It's funny how he looks so happy while doing it too. I guess if you are, let this be the Lumi quote of the day. If you're going to murder people, at least have fun doing it. Now, lastly, we have Ogerpon herself, and the thing about this is it's kind of surprising to see Ogerpon on this list, because Ogerpon, is actually this really sweet Pokemon. It's absolutely adorable, but there's some implications in Ogerpon's Dex entry that makes her a lot more terrifying than I initially thought, and specifically we're looking at the Hearthflame mask, where it says that this form is the most aggressive, and the interesting thing about that is the implications of what these masks do to Ogerpon, right? Like, we know these masks have special powers in them as Ogerpon's able to terrestrialize them. They give Ogerpon an additional type and are able to change the typing of her signature move. But this still just doesn't sit well with me, that this form is the most aggressive. So the mask is like the mask from the movie The Mask. It's like altering Ogerpon a little bit. Ogerpon puts on the Hearthflame mask and is more aggressive now. It is literally taking over Ogerpon, which, with all this talk we've been doing recently on the channel of the toxic chain and its impact, there's just a lot of questions there. But I don't know, it was kind of creepy to hear that the mask did that to Ogerpon, and we know that these masks were made for Ogerpon and a human character that Ogerpon traveled with too, and so I wonder, was this human also maybe affected by the mask if he had put on the Hearthflame mask? If I, a trainer, take Ogerpon's Hearthflame mask, and I'm joking around and I put it on me, am I now going to become more aggressive? The idea that the mask can do that to you is, it's creepy, definitely, for sure. But yeah, be sure to let me know what you think of these scary Dex entries from Kitakami. Which one do you think is the creepiest? And if you have one in the comments below from Kitakami that you liked that maybe I didn't cover, let me know it. I'd love to hear it. Again, Dex entries are one of my favorite parts about the Pokemon games, and then one of my favorite things about Halloween time is that it's an excuse for me to look at some Dex entries. But yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all of our future videos. And until next time, I will see all of you later.